Alright, in this video, instead of talking about one fight, we're going to be talking about 3 fights. 3 fights are, either official or rumored, and we're going to be talking about 3 major fights that are coming up, and we're going to talk about them in order. If you guys want to skip to any certain fight, click the chapters. So let's get into this. You guys already know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, like, comment, all of that, share. Hit the notification bell so YouTube knows that you like my content, and let's get into this. I originally recorded this video with 3 major fights, but there's been another one added. We're talking Conor McGregor versus Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson is supposed to coach Ultimate Fighter, and yes, I know that this means Tony Ferguson might not fight McGregor, but this is the fight that makes sense. Both guys are at similar stages in their career, although I think Tony Ferguson is a little bit on the older side and is probably more near the end of his career than Conor is. I think especially when you look at the second Dustin fight, you see that Conor still has a little bit more left, at least a little more than Tony Ferguson. Now let's look at the timeline. Conor McGregor did post on his Instagram 2 nights ago, I think when this is released, that he is going to be coaching the Ultimate Fighter, or that he got offered to coach the Ultimate Fighter. He's interested in doing it. He didn't say that he accepted it yet, but he said that he thinks he's going to accept. And obviously this led to a lot of conspiracy theorists. Could it have been Masvidal? Could it have been Dustin? Could it have been Michael Chandler? And I didn't think they were going to go to the Tony Ferguson way, but Tony Ferguson did post on Twitter and Instagram that he got offered to do the Ultimate Fighter by the UFC. He also called out Conor at the end of his post, which made me think that he is going to be fighting Conor at the end of the season. Like I said, this matchup would make sense. I mean, both guys were in their primes around the same time. Now we're a little bit past their prime, losing the top level competition. This could very well be the fight to make, in my opinion. Now, obviously, when you look at Tony Ferguson's last few fights, he's had a habit of getting outboxed, right? We saw Diaz tag him a lot. Of course, we saw Justin Gaethje tag him a lot. So I think this is a good matchup for Conor. And yes, Tony Ferguson is getting older, and he's starting now to get knocked out. Before he had this iron chin, but he got knocked out by Michael Chandler, got finished by Nate Diaz. You gotta wonder how well his durability is going to be in the fight. But if he pushes the cardio, pushes the pace, and McGregor gasses out, this could be a tough fight for McGregor in the later rounds, especially with the jiu-jitsu of Tony Ferguson. Either way, I think this is the fight to make. I think it'll be a good fight. I don't think it's gonna be like easy. Conor knocks him out in the first round. Might be, but I think this is gonna last a little bit. I see this kind of being like the Justin Gaethje fight, except a little bit sooner. I think we'll see maybe a TKO KO in round 2 or 3, but we'll see. Let me know what you guys think of the fight, and let's move on to the next fight. Jorge Masvidal versus Gilbert Burns. Now, Jorge Masvidal, I saw a lot of people thinking Jorge Masvidal was going to coach the Ultimate Fighter with Conor McGregor. Obviously, Conor McGregor announced that he was going to be maybe coaching the Ultimate Fighter. I have a video on that already if you guys want to go check it out. But a lot of people thought Jorge Masvidal was going to fight Conor McGregor. Obviously, that would be a big fight at 170 in a big Ultimate Fighter season. And honestly, that would have been very entertaining to see. It looks like to me that Gilbert Burns is saying that London, he's going to fight Jorge Masvidal. Obviously, Jorge Masvidal did tweet. He said major fight news coming soon. But then Gilbert retweeted Masvidal's tweet and said London. So obviously saying, hey, we're gonna fight in London underneath the Usman-Leon card. And to me, if this makes sense, because if Masvidal wins, beats Gilbert, Leon beats Usman, this is a very easy, massive fight to make. And in my opinion, this is exactly what UFC London needed, because look, honestly, maybe I'm in the minority here, but I thought that this London card needed a little bit more of a push. We lost a lot of fights. We lost Tom Aspinall, we lost Arnold Allen, we lost Paddy Pimblett, we lost a lot of the top guys that would be fighting usually in UFC London, right? A lot of those names, I don't even think Molly McCann is fighting on there, and we really needed a fight. We obviously had the Justin Gaethje fight as the co-main event. I was looking for a little bit more, and it looks like they were getting Masvidal versus Gilbert Burns. And obviously, a lot of the UFC loves to do this, where they have #1 contender fights underneath the title fight, so everyone's schedules just kind of lined up already. They did it with Pereira and Strickland and Adesanya and Cannonier. They do this stuff all the time. It's nothing new for them. So to me, this is saying that whoever wins this fight is probably getting a title shot next. I just realized my camera was a little too high, so I hope lowering it helped it. So to me, looking at this fight, it's probably going to be a grappler versus striking classic matchup. The striker is going to want to strike, the grappler is going to want to grapple. But yeah, let's first talk about the grappling. Obviously, Gilbert Burns is extremely strong in the wrestling department, as I mentioned to you guys before. He also is incredibly good at jiu-jitsu. We just saw him submit Neil Magny in the first round, made it look easy, but his ground game and especially his wrestling looks very, very good. His wrestling has come a long way. He's taking guys down. He's controlling guys like you saw with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. We've seen him now control dudes. A lot of people have said, hey, this guy is really, really strong in the clinch and in the wrestling exchanges, and when you mix that in with his jiu-jitsu, that's going to be a big problem for Masvidal. But when we look at the stand-up here, I don't think this stand-up is so wide as a lot of people may think, because yes, Jorge Masvidal is primarily a striker, but Gilbert Burns could also put his hands together too. He also has power. He knocked down Usman. I mean, almost knocked him down. I guess it didn't really count as knockdown. We've seen him hurt a lot of guys with his shots. He has a really good overhand. He dropped Hamzat. I mean, the guy has power. He's put Hamzat in very bad positions, and to me on paper, this just seems like a very favorable matchup for Gilbert Burns. Another thing to keep in mind is Gilbert Burns has gotten dropped a lot before, especially by jabs, and Jorge Masvidal is a guy that has power. He is a guy that you know, he dropped Colby, knocked Darren Till out cold, who's now a middleweight. Jorge wins, it's going to be by a lucky shot. He's really going to have to work on that takedown defense. Obviously, Usman wasn't really able to take him down, but Colby's cardio was really what made him able to keep taking down Jorge Masvidal. So in my opinion, I think the fight goes like this. I think Gilbert is going to sneak the takedown up on Jorge Masvidal, and I think he gets the win. I think he submits Jorge Masvidal. I think he submits him pretty early. I think maybe in the first round. But let me know what you guys think of this matchup, if it even happens. Who knows? Next fight is Irene Aldana versus Raquel Pennington 2. Kind of a fight that nobody really wanted to see, but the reason it's big is because of its implications. Look, Raquel Pennington just came off of a win a couple weeks ago against Caitlin Vieira and is now in that title shot conversation. It's either her or Irene Aldana. I talked about this on my live stream when we watched it live. I said, look, it's either going to come down to her or Irene Aldana, and I didn't think that they would fight. I didn't think that they would fight each other, but it looks like that fight is going to headline San Antonio, Texas. Like, headline an event is crazy to me, but it looks like that's what's going to happen. It's a rematch. 5-round main event is what's currently in the works, but this might seem strange, but I think I know why. There's a lot of rumors about Amanda Nunes, Juliana Pena, Irene Aldana, everybody in the mix. So what's going on? Let me break it down for you guys. So the UFC did want Amanda Nunes to fight Irene Aldana. There was talks of 285, and there were talks of New York. There's a lot of talks about when she's going to fight Irene Aldana. If you look at the other camp, Juliana Pena is like, I'm not fighting anybody unless it's this Amanda Nunes trilogy. You know, I gave her a title shot right away after she lost to me. I deserved the same thing, which obviously are two different circumstances. Of course, Juliana really doesn't deserve a trilogy fight. I wouldn't mind it, but doesn't really deserve it. She got dominated in the last fight. I think she at least needs a win to get back in that conversation. The UFC, you know, wanted, and Amanda Nunes wanted Juliana Pena to fight Irene Aldana, and I think that was supposed to headline this San Antonio card, I assume, right? I assume that's what they were going for, because Juliana Pena is a big enough name to headline an event. I could see that being kind of a headliner event, but Juliana Pena is like, I'm not fighting her. I'm waiting for this title shot. And I don't really know how she thinks she's going to get a title shot, but just waiting around. Like this is your best chance. Like, the UFC is not going to be like, all right, you know what? You waited around, after a few contenders, we'll throw you back in. That's not what's going to happen. So it looks like this fight is probably what's going to happen. Irene Aldana versus Raquel Pennington. A lot of people are not excited about this fight for good reason. I mean, come on. Like, a lot of people were expecting Justin Gaethje, Rafael Fiziev to headline the event. This, in my opinion, is maybe a co-main event. Yes, it's a fight that has title implications, and it's an important fight to pay attention to see who is gonna fight Amanda Nunes next. Either way, I'm not very excited for this main event, you know, but I will be watching, of course, because the UFC has me by the balls, and I'll watch whatever they give me. All right, next up, final fight that we're going to be talking about is my boy. You know, everybody knows my favorite fight in the UFC, Charles Oliveira. The return is real. Rumors of him fighting May 6th at UFC 288 against Beneil Dariush. Now, Beneil obviously is in the title conversation. He was supposed to fight Islam last year, got injured, came back, fought Mateus Gamrot, a guy that was pretty low on the rankings, and now, to my opinion, he deserves a top-ranked guy, and Charles Oliveira is what the guy deserves. This is a matchup, in my opinion, that is so scary for Charles Oliveira. Beneil's ground game has been proven to be a threat. I mean, the guy has good jiu-jitsu, the guy has good wrestling, and the thing is, he could put it together with the hands. I mean, that knockdown on Mateus Gamrot, like, I still remember it. This is dangerous because if he drops Charles Oliveira, he's not going to be afraid to go for ground and pound. I could see a scenario where he TKOs Charles Oliveira because Charles Oliveira just gets hit so much. I could actually see a scenario where Beneil Dariush gets a TKO win against him. You never know. And also, we saw that Islam dropped him pretty badly. You gotta wonder how that's gonna do on his chin. I'm a little worried for Charles Oliveira in this matchup, in my opinion, you know, and I would say probably the shorter it is, the better for Charles Oliveira goes, because I could see a scenario where Beneil holds Charles Oliveira down. Not saying Charles Oliveira has bad cardio or anything, but I could see him, you know, wrestling him in the later rounds, getting Charles a little fatigued, trying to do jiu-jitsu so much, but we'll see. I'd probably lean towards Charles Oliveira. I don't know. That fight is 50-50 in my opinion, because don't sleep on Beneil. A lot of people are going to be like, 50-50, what are you talking about? But if you know Beneil, you know that this fight is not an easy W for Charles Oliveira. You know that that's not even an easy W for Islam. I mean, he might give Islam some problems. I predicted that he might be the champ at the end of the year. I hope that Charles beats him, but, you know, because I'm a big Charles Oliveira fan, I'm going to be excited for that. I'm going to be tuning in. I think it'll probably be on pay-per-view because that's a huge matchup. That's going to be basically it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like if you did. Hit the subscribe button, comment. Let me know what fight you're most looking forward to. Let me know what videos you guys want to see in the future, and I'll see you guys in the next one.